What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. That means we're going live. I'm back from the cruise. I am pumped. I am excited. I am ready to go. A lot of good things happened on the cruise. A lot of momentum going into the rest of this year. Getting ready for KetoCon. There's just so much stuff going on. It's crazy. We're talking about the three things I got out of the cruise. About perspective. We're talking about how to be most efficient and how to get the most out of what choices you decide to make when it comes to moving forward with your health and fitness. We're going to talk about where I think, based on what I saw this week, about where I think keto is in its maturity and where it's going and where I think you play a role. Okay. But before I do that, I want to remind you to subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you're reminded every time a new video comes out. But most importantly, please, if there's anything I got out of this last week on the cruise, there's a lot of people that need a lot of help. Share this information, give it to somebody who can benefit and help them improve their quality of life. Okay. Awesome. So went on a cruise. We got back Sunday, very late. We had an interesting trip back. Our flight was delayed. So we were supposed to leave late on Sunday out of Orlando, and thanks, Jen. And we left early. We didn't leave late on Sunday. We left early on Monday. So our flight was, I don't think we left till after 12 o'clock. We didn't get in back home and in bed until 4:30 a.m. Monday morning. So it was a long day. I think we got up on the boat to leave at like 6:30. So it was like a 22-hour day. So needless to say, we slept in yesterday. And today's our first real full day back. So going through emails and notes and all kinds of stuff, it was absolutely fantastic. Karen, I fly Southwest usually. It's either Southwest or Delta. But in Baltimore, there was some bad weather. So there were a ton of flights that were delayed and locked up. The airport was crowded at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was crowded, like packed. So, things that I got, there's a lot of things that I took away. A lot of notes were taken, a lot of great speakers with lots of good points, and in all aspects of fitness and nutrition. Okay. Right. We got Dr. Boz talking about A1C and how important that is, glycolated hemoglobin. Right. The science that is presented, I'm always impressed at the science that's presented in these conferences and how much information is backed and verifiable by the science and the data and the clinical information and the things that people are actually doing in real life. So it's really good to be part of a community, part of a movement where it's not just, hey, this is what I think is happening, but this is what I think is happening. And let me show you how I know what's going on, how it's going, and why it's doing it, right? And here's 1,000 million other people who are seeing the benefits that are predicted by the science that I just presented, right? Like everything falls into place and it's fantastic. So anybody that tells you that the ketogenic diet is not backed by science, you can tell them they need to refresh or go back to PubMed and sign up for a new subscription and start over, okay? There is tons of science out there that shows that a low carb ketogenic diet, particularly when you combine that with functional fitness, moving, strength, all that kind of stuff, is fantastic for all sorts of things. Okay. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. So the three things that I took away that impacted me the most that I want to talk about. The first thing is perspective. Okay. This is something that I run into mentally, a little mental gymnastics that I run through every time I go to a conference with all of the YouTube videos that I watch and all the people that I read and the blogs and the books and all that kind of stuff. Is perspective matters. And here's the thing. It's not just your perspective, but it's the perspective of the person you're listening to. Okay. And I'll just give you an example. There are a lot of different people who have different backgrounds that are in the space trying to help people and are helping people. Okay. Take me, for instance. I don't have a college degree. Okay. I've spent the last 12 years learning about fitness and nutrition and applying what I've learned to real life people and learning from the experience of trial and error. This is working. This is not working. Understand why this worked. understand why this didn't work, make adjustments, and then try it again until I found the best ways I could, still improving, it's always getting better, until I found to this date the best ways I've been able to help people improve their quality of life, improve their physical ability, improve their internal and external stress management, right? So that's my background. If you compare my background to Dr. Sivas, who's got a medical degree, who's done surgery, who's worked for years and years with a specific mindset of helping people recover and manage carb addiction. He's an addiction doctor. He's a weight loss doctor primarily who's focusing now on carb addiction. Very different background, very different focus, very different perspective than my perspective, where I'm coming from a fitness, quality of life, and physical ability perspective. Okay. Now, we both have similar views on a lot of different things, but we have completely different methodologies and protocols that we use to help people get to a similar place. Okay. This is the cool thing about it, right? I like to use optimal health as like a target. Okay. If I were to draw a target, right, there's the big line, the big circle, the middle circle, and then a little circle right in the middle, like as optimal as you can possibly get. Okay. Most people living their lives aren't even anywhere near the target. They're out here on the outside. They're out here on the periphery. Okay. So the way that I work is going to get people into the target. The way that Dr. Sivas works is going to get people into the target. Okay. Now, with me, they may be down here in that outside circle, the middle circle, or even the center, coming from this angle. With Dr. Sivas, they may start up here, outside circle, middle circle, and then come into the center, right? So we're all moving to center, but we're coming from different angles, different parts of the target. Hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, the thing is, we're all helping people. That's all that matters. So I want you to understand that regardless of the perspective, we're all trying to help people, and we all are helping people. That's the cool thing about it. Okay. There's a couple aspects to perspective that can get confusing, and you need to understand and remember that the perspective of the person you're listening to and your perspective matter. Okay. The first thing is, don't let yourself get confused and get off track by following everything the last person you listen to says. Okay. If you listen to Dr. Boz one day and she says, this is what I recommend you do, and then you listen to Dr. Sivas the next day and he says, this is what I recommend you do, there's a very good chance that there's going to be two different things you'll be doing. And they may not make sense. And they may actually, in some instances, be different. Okay. Dr. Boz may say, in order to manage your A1C, change your timing window for intermittent fasting. If you increase your fasting time, decrease your window, and eat more in less period of time, you'll have a better A1C. Dr. Sivas will say, have a little bit of carbs at certain times of the day to bring your insulin level up, to reduce your blood glucose, and then manage your A1C. Two very different solutions that should, in each of their experiences, provide the same result. Okay. But if you just do one for a while, and then you hear the next person say, do the other, and you start doing that, how do you know if the first one worked? Or vice versa. Okay. You have to take what you're looking at from the perspective of the person who's giving it, but then also look at it from your perspective. What are you trying to do? Where are you going? What have you had to deal with? If you don't have an issue with carbs and you're not a carb addict, you don't have an issue with moderation or even well, in this case, we're talking about moderation, not abstinence, if you're adding in carbs. Okay. If you don't have an issue with moderation, then maybe the advice that Dr. Sivas has to have a little bit of carbs to keep that insulin level up works for you. And you can do that without having risk of going all crazy. Right. So keep that in mind. If you do have an issue with moderation and you need to be an abstainer, then maybe going with Dr. Boz's recommendation is the way to go. But if you jump back and forth every time you hear something new, how are you going to know? Okay. So just another example, right? If anybody's familiar with Ben Azadi, I love Ben. He's one of my favorite people ever in the world. He's got a new book out called Keto Flex. And in that book, he talks about a couple different instances where he thinks, based on the data that he has, that carbs can be beneficial for certain aspects of metabolic health. Okay. And that there is benefit in being metabolically flexible, where your body can manage and process fuels that you take in back and forth. If I take in carbs, my body's good. If I take in fat, my body's good. And I can utilize and move back and forth between those two fuels easily without much stress. Okay. He believes there's benefit in that. If you talk to Ben Bickman, okay, Ben had a video. He wasn't able to attend the cruise, but he had a video. And in that video that he presented his topics, one of the things he talked about is, why is metabolic flexibility even a goal? At what point, if we're not eating something, why do we then need to be able to process it? If we've reduced or eliminated carbs from our lives, why do we have to go backwards and maintain a level of flexibility for something that's not part of our lives anymore? Right? So two different thought processes based on information that's been provided, based on individual experience and perspective, that you have to apply and try and test out for you. Okay. Doesn't mean either of them are wrong. Okay. That's one of the things we have to get away from when it comes to scientific data. Okay. 90% of the data is 90% of the science out there is unproven. It is not a law. There are few laws in science. The law of gravity, right? The law of thermodynamics. There are few laws, indisputable truths. Everything besides that is our best guess. Okay. So don't get hung up because so-and-so said this study is the way things are. There are things that Dr. Saiba said during this cruise that made me second guess some of the information and things that I've been talking about. I had to talk to some other doctors, read some other information to get some validation and verification of my understanding of the information to make sure that I was still on track. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to get lost because you're going to follow the next best thing, and you're never going to be solid about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay. That's number one. The number one thing that got me is there are a million perspectives. Okay. If you don't understand the perspective of the person given the information, match that perspective with your goals, your background, where you're trying to go. Okay. Then you're going to be missing some things and you could get off track very easily. Okay. That's number one. Number two, along with that, okay, I talked about the target, where no matter where you start, the idea is to bring everything in. Okay, it's to bring everything in and try to get the middle, that optimal, right? What Dr. Berry calls the proper human diet. Okay, we're not talking about just the proper human diet. We're also talking about proper human function, physical ability, and all of the things that lead to a quality of life. That's in the middle of the target. Boom, right in the middle of the target, right in my nose. Boop, right? So if that's the case, how do we get there as quickly and efficiently as possible? Okay. Common themes that every single speaker on the low carb cruise talked about. Every single one. Okay. These are the things, regardless. Okay. This is the catch, guys. Regardless of methodology, regardless of technique, regardless of biohacks, regardless of anything, if you can figure out a way to implement these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things, if you can implement these 8 things in your life, you will have the largest percentage of success and get as close to that center as possible without making it too complicated. Okay, here they are. Number one thing, your why is most important. Every speaker talked about having your why, being connected to your why, knowing why you are on this journey, because your why is what's going to keep you moving forward. Okay. If you don't have a why, I talked about it in my talk, you need to be emotionally connected to it. If you don't have an emotion connected to why you're doing this, your challenges are going to outweigh your why, and you're going to get set off track every single time. Your why has to be the most important thing in your head and in your heart. Okay. Your why is important. So know your why, connect to your why. That's the first thing. Second thing, focus on getting the most nutrients possible in every single bite you take. Everything that goes into your mouth needs to be nutrient dense. Okay. Everything that goes into your mouth needs to be bioavailable. So not only have a lot of nutrients, needs to be able to get used and absorbed and processed by your body. If you're eating the most dense vitamin pill in the world, but it's inside a capsule that your body can't digest and you just poop it out, it really doesn't matter. Okay. Eat nutrient dense foods that your body can break down and utilize. With that, choose foods that are going to keep you satiated. When you are satiated, two things happen. Nutrient dense, okay? Chances are if you're eating foods that satiating, you're going to be eating foods that are more nutrient dense, which means you're also going to be eating foods that are less calorie dense. Nutrient density, calorie density, calorie density, nutrient density, okay? 99.9% of the time, if you have something that has a lot of calories, it does not have many nutrients. If you have something that has a lot of nutrients, it does not have many calories. That's why satiation is huge when it comes to optimizing your body and managing your body composition. Okay. Number 5, move your body as often as possible in any way that you possibly can, period. Get started from where you are and start doing physical activity. Okay. Move well. Focus on learning how to move your body. Okay. Don't just do things haphazardly. Okay. Try to learn how your body works and do things well and safely. Be safe. That's move well and be safe go together, guys. Okay. Technique, consistency. Those are the first two pieces of building fitness into your life. Okay. And then move some weight, even if it's just your body weight. You cannot grow muscle unless you move weight. You have to tell your muscles they need to grow. Okay. Cardio doesn't do that. You've got to move weight. Okay. And then the most important thing, okay, the things in the middle are just things you do. The thing at the beginning, okay, know your why, emotionally connect to your why. That's one. That's super important. And then the last thing at the end, number 8, is the second super important thing. The beginning and the end of this list are the most important ones. Know your why, emotionally connect to it. And at the end, never quit. It does not matter what happens to you along the way. If you are focusing on these 8 things and you never quit, you will always see success at some level. Okay. We won't even talk about what I talked about on my talk, right? My message was about never stalling. Okay. Never having a plateau and the reason why that's possible. And maybe I'll do a little video or recap, or when the video from the cruise comes out, I'll just post that. Duh. Okay. So that's the second thing, guys. The basics matter most. If you can get those basics in, however you can figure out a way to fit them into your life, okay, then you're going to get closer to that center without having to worry about intermittent fasting, OMAD, PSMF, cold therapy, red light therapy, berberine, who knows all the other stuff that's out there that people are like trying to sell you. Okay. Whether it's sell you for money or sell you for ideas, it doesn't really make a difference. Okay. If you focus on the basics first, you will see progress that will get you closer to optimal, period. Okay. It does not matter who you listen to. They all base their information on the same things that I just listed off. Focus on your why, nutrient density, bioavailability, satiety, move often, move well, move weight, and never quit. That's it. Okay. Now, this one's a really interesting one because this one kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting number 3 to be a thing. I was thinking I was going to come in, learn some information, get some inspiration from different speakers that I personally have kind of fanboyed over for a while. So it was really amazing to actually get to meet and sit down and talk and have a conversation with Dr. Saivis, spending time with Dr. Boz, listening to Maria Emmerich talk. There's just so much experience out there that to be able to suck some of that information and absorb it and maybe use it to help grow my ability as a coach and an influencer to help people get better was just fantastic. So a lot of inspiration, a lot of good things coming out of it. The next 6 months is going to be freaking crazy, guys. Just keep your eyes open. If you're not going to be at KetoCon, you need to be at KetoCon. That's all I'm going to say. But this is one of the big things outside of all of what I expected that to happen. There were 170, almost 200 of us on the cruise, okay, that were there together as a group. There were 5,000 people on the boat. That's a big friggin' boat, okay? 5,000 people on the boat, okay? The first day, the thing that hit me the most was the overwhelming lack of physical ability. The number of scooters and walkers and people needing assistance walking up the gangplank, people shuffling around because they can't take a full step. Just the number of people that were there that were just completely, their lives just completely locked down because of their inability to move and do things. Okay. Just was overwhelming to me. And I mentioned it in my talk. We were 170, 200 people, okay, at the conference. You guys that were there, if you're watching this, kudos to you because you are ahead of the curve. If you're watching my channel, you are ahead of the curve. There are millions of people out there right now who don't even know that something is wrong. They don't even know. They have absolutely no concept that there is more to life than what they are living now. Okay. And it got me thinking about where keto is and what we can do and how much of an impact we can have as a group, as a community, as a family. Okay. There were some ideas tossed around about what we can do next year to get people on the boat engaged in what we're doing and maybe have some tools in place. This is just my ideas. I sent some stuff to Debbie. Debbie, if you're listening, please, it'd be awesome if we could figure out a way to use the cruise to expand the message of the ketogenic lifestyle to people on the boat. Maybe we can have, people on the boat, have people joining groups and doing stuff just from our presence on the boat. I don't want to, the idea of being able to go on this cruise and impact people that are on the cruise, not just with our group, right, is just mind-boggling and would be absolutely amazing if we could figure out a way to do that. That's a side note. That's just me spitballing ideas. But the thought that there are so many people out there that still need help got me thinking about where keto is. It's been around for a while as a thing, but it's not at a point yet. You've heard conversations about when is keto going to be mainstream, how far away, what needs to happen, all that kind of stuff. If you're familiar with the five stages of adoption, okay, I think we are definitely past the innovator stage. Keto is a thing. The innovators like Finney and Volek, Paul Mabry, Sean Baker, Jason Fung, Eric Westman, Amy Berger, those people that have been in this for several years, that have been preaching this message and talking about this now, going on, gosh, I want to say almost 20 years now, right? I forget when the first when the first Volek studies came out, but maybe 15 years, almost 20 years. There's the cat's out of the bag. Let's put it that way, right? Keto's a thing. People know about it. Businesses are starting to market to it. Foods are getting keto labels, even though they're not keto, all sorts of stuff like that, right? Then there's after the innovators phase, there's the early adopters phase. Okay. I'm going to read a little description of what early adopters are. The next group to adopt new ideas is encompassing a little more than 1/10 of the population. 1/10 of the population on average becomes early adopters. Okay. They tend to be younger, have more financial flexibility, and have a higher education level than compared to late adopters, which is the next phase. Okay. They are more likely to be opinion leaders or considered influencers. This group closely watches for new innovations, but is notably more selective than innovators. Okay. Now, what does this mean? What I read out of this description of early adopters is we're heavy in that phase right now. If you think about the last 2 years in the keto community, carnivore community space, how many new faces have you seen on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, right? On TikTok, right? It has blown up with the number of people who are experiencing it, getting excited about it, and starting to talk about it. We are in the early adopter phase right now. You are part of the early phases of keto going mainstream. Okay. This is the opportunity. This is the time where you have to get information and start building yourself up as an example to help others. Because here's the deal. Early adopters, this is where it gets really fun, guys. Between innovators and early adopters, okay? They on average, they only take up, I'm doing some math real quick, 15, about 16% of the population. Okay? Innovators and early adopters on average are about 16% of the population. That's you guys. That's you guys. You guys are influencers in the space. Whether you're on YouTube or Instagram or not, you are doing something that less than 20% of the population is doing. Okay? Probably more because this isn't even widely pushed out. Okay? As far as being like a product, this isn't even a product. This is just a concept that is still growing in popularity. Okay. 34% of the population are early majority adopters. Okay. That's where we're going. That's where we're going. There are 2 times as many people that are in the next phase waiting to be part of keto. They don't know about it. They maybe have heard about it. They're just not ready to start doing it. They're waiting for you guys to show them that it's possible. The more people, and this is the perspective, this is the thing that I want to talk about here. This is a long lead up. Okay. The more you share your story, the faster we can make keto mainstream. We are right on the top of the crest before we can run down the hill and just take everything over. Okay. We've had the largest amount of influencers and people getting involved and people who want to speak and people who are trying to help people and coaches coming on board and people getting certified as keto coaches, people getting certified as carnivore coaches. Like it's blowing up, guys. Okay. You don't have to be a coach. You don't have to be an influencer. Just live your life to the best way you possibly can, and you will change somebody's life. They are waiting, absolutely waiting. If you don't believe me, get on Facebook. There are probably 15 different groups on Facebook that are titled Keto for Beginners, Keto Diet for Beginners, Beginners Keto, or something to that effect. Join one of them. Okay. Every single one of them has 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 people in it. And they're asking the same questions every single day. Okay. You are a light in the darkness. Okay. It's time for us to start shining it and sharing our stories as much as we possibly can. Okay. That is the perspective. That is my motivation for going forward and doing this, because I'm realizing every single day that there are people out there that no matter what guys, I see myself as a lighthouse. Okay. I've talked about this with Coach Nat. I've talked about this with a couple other people. There are a lot of influencers who try to stay relevant by changing what they talk about as new information comes out or as the market trends change. Okay. As a coach who's trying to help people get better, who has a methodology protocol and an understanding of the science and how it works, my message is never going to change. Okay. There may be tweaks of how I implement some methodologies or tactics and protocols and things that I improve to try to make better. But the way that I currently understand the science and my message of fitness is part of your quality of life, not just nutrition, that doesn't change. I'm a lighthouse. This is my message. Okay. There is going to be a time where you're coming in and you need to hear what I have to say. Once you understand that and you start living that and you see the improvement that you're looking for and you're ready for the next thing, keep moving. Okay. That you get nothing like you get nothing else from me. Okay. My message is set. I never have to change my message because there are millions of people coming my way. In 20 years from now, I want to still be talking about things that are relevant. And the reason they're going to be relevant is because 20 years from now, there will still be millions of people who need to hear what I have to say. And the same thing goes for you. You just have to find what works for you and live your life. And that will be the beacon that will save others. Okay. All right. That's enough of that soapbox. If you can't tell, I'm super fired up about doing what I'm doing and helping other people do it. Leading into a last thing I want to say, if you're not in my Facebook group, get in the Facebook group now, today, okay? Because in the Facebook group, there is a link to a live Zoom that I'm having tomorrow, okay? Part of this is coming from some people in the group have asked questions. Part of it is coming from this perspective that I've gotten from the low carb cruise, and trying to help build up other people so that they can share the message. I'm doing a Zoom tomorrow evening where I'm going to go over some tips. What does it mean to be a coach? How do you talk to people? What are some of the things you need to do to make yourself better prepared? I don't know if that was grammatically correct. Okay. To make yourself better prepared to be that light, be that beacon, get out there and make a difference in the world. Okay. So tomorrow evening, a live Zoom. You don't get the link if you're not in my group. Join the group. There's an event in there that has a link. You can say you're going, and then we'll see you tomorrow evening. All right. I hope that was a lot of good information, guys. As always, I started rambling, but I'm super excited. And there's a lot of stuff happening. I am going to be talking about body composition and how to read an in-body report on my next video. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll see you guys next week. All right. See you.